All right, buckle up, everyone, because what's happening right now in crypto, it's not just big, it is historic. The banks are panicking. The SEC, they're stalling. And Ripple, well, Ripple is playing chess while everyone else is still trying to figure out checkers. I'm about to show you how exactly the old guard is scrambling behind closed doors, how regulatory clarity is being forced into existence, and how today's decision will either make or break XRP's future in the US. We also got what might be the most insane tokenization event ever about to go live. This isn't hype. This isn't clickbait. This is real momentum colliding with real resistance, and something's gotta give. So if you ever felt like you were early, like you were watching something way bigger unfold before the rest of the world gets it, well, you're not crazy. You're exactly where you should be. Welcome to the Bullwinkle Blueprint, folks. If you are new around here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Let's grow together. And hey, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up. It is the ultimate way to support the channel, and it's free, and it takes you about 2 seconds to do. It's the most important thing for us content creators. And if you're looking to go ad-free, make sure you hit that join button. You can find it below each and every single video. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. Bitcoin, $116,714. It's currently up 2.19%. Ethereum coming in at 3,832. It's currently up 5.87%. And XRP, yeah, buddy, coming in at $3.08. It is up 4.66%. Total cryptocurrency market cap has creeped up a little bit more since this morning's video, coming in at $3.82 trillion. Not too shabby if you ask me. And don't forget today, when we covered this in the first video, if you didn't watch the first video, go watch it. Trump's going to sign over the 401k access to crypto. That's huge. I'm sure everyone's seen this ICBA document floating around. Once again, they're trying to hold down Ripple. What's new? When a banking system, folks, when they get desperate, they don't fight fair. They cry to the regulators. Let's break this down. The Independent Community Bankers of America, a group that claims to represent community-level financial institutions, they filed a 7-page submission to the OCC. And they spent almost half the space dragging Ripple through the mud. Not Ethereum, not Solana, not even Binance, just Ripple. Why? Well, it's simple. They're scared. They're watching a technology, the XRP ledger, that can move money across borders in seconds for fractions of a penny. And it doesn't need a middleman. It doesn't need a Swift code, and it sure as hell doesn't need these small town bankers clipping fees off every wire transfer like it's still 1985. 3 of those pages weren't even new information. It was just regurgitated FUD from past SEC and FinCEN investigations, most of which Ripple has already resolved publicly and transparently. Let's be real. These banks aren't trying to warn regulators about danger. No, they're trying to protect their monopoly on slow, expensive money movement. And here's where it gets hypocritical. Mickey Marshall, the guy who's behind the smear, he never once mentioned ETHgate. Never brings up how Ethereum Insider had meetings with the SEC, got a free pass, and watched competitors like Ripple get thrown under the bus. That's not oversight. That is selective memory. And here's the irony. They should be thanking Ripple, because if community banks actually integrated with blockchain infrastructure, guess what? They would level the playing field. They could compete with JP Morgan, and they could actually evolve. But instead, they rather kneecap the future and beg regulators to keep the status quo. Guess what? Let them. I don't care. Because tech, it doesn't ask for permission. It just replaces the gatekeepers. And then we get this. Let's listen to the short clip talking about the CFTC's move to list spot crypto trading. Listen up.
spot crypto trading, what I believe is the most important implication of this is regulatory clarity. Whether or not you believe there's a large market for listed crypto trading spot products, so these would be leveraged products on a DCM, a designated contract market, the underlying implication is that any crypto asset that gets listed is effectively going to have regulatory certainty. Today, we only have two CFTC listed crypto products. Those are Bitcoin and Ethereum, but there's thousands of cryptocurrencies out there. So that long tail of crypto does not have regulatory certainty. So getting them listed in one way or another is going to provide a lot of relief to the market. It's going to have a lot of downstream effects.
Interesting. Perry and Boring, it's great.
So while the banks beg for protection here, the real innovators are moving pieces on the board that changes everything. Let's zoom out for a quick second. We have the ICBA crying to regulators. Others are doing the opposite. They're pushing the space forward, not with hope, but with strategy. So the move to list crypto spot trading in the US, this isn't just another checkbox on the old crypto roadmap. It's a shortcut to clarity. Here's why this matters. Because every time a new product like a spot Bitcoin or spot Ethereum ETF gets listed, it forces regulators to define the rules, whether they want to or not. It's like building the bridge before the zoning laws are written. You're not breaking the law, you're just making the law catch up to innovation. This is how smart crypto companies operate. They don't sit around and wait for Congress to pass some magical digital asset bill. They move first, they move fast, and they leave regulators with no choice but to respond. And guess who benefits from that the most? Projects that are already structured from regulatory alignment, like Ripple. You see, Ripple isn't some shadowy coin dropper operating out of a Discord. They've got global offices, licenses, compliance teams. Hell, they've been in more courtrooms than most banks have ATMs. Every time the crypto market forces a new product through, whether it's an ETF, staking frameworks, or even tokenized stocks, it makes it harder for the SEC to keep dragging their feet. So yes, listing spot crypto, it's a big deal, but it's also a tactic, a smart tactic, one that opens the door wider for everyone else, especially XRP. And then we got this, all eyes today are on Ripple's next move, which could end a war, or man, you never know, possibly start a new one. Today is the day, August 7th. The SEC is expected to respond to Ripple's decision to withdraw its appeal. That's a big deal. Let me explain why. So earlier this year, the court ruled that XRP is not a security when it's sold on public exchanges. That was a game-changing win. But the SEC, being the SEC, they filed to appeal this ruling. Now Ripple's saying, you know what? We're good. Let's move forward. Let's drop this and build. That's a bold move because it puts the pressure back on the SEC. So now, do they keep pushing this narrative even after a clear ruling, or do they finally step back and let the market evolve? If they back off, it's a signal, a sign that even they know they can't win the war. If they fight harder, it's also a signal that they're clinging to control that they no longer deserve. Either way, folks, this is a pivot point, a reset moment, a line in the sand. And here's the kicker. No matter what happens here, Ripple wins because they're done playing defense. They got clarity globally. They're building in countries that actually have frameworks. They're onboarding banks in Asia, fintechs in LATAM, and even US companies who know where this is headed. So yeah, watch closely. Watch the outcome today. Because whether it's a handshake or it's a haymaker, it tells you where crypto is heading next. And then if you didn't check this out, we've talked about Ripple, Ondo. We've watched the videos. Here's a new clip from CoinDesk with Ripple talking about how they're putting traditional finance assets on crypto rails. And then we see this news coming out of Ondo. You know, I am very, very bullish on Ondo. I talk about it a lot, especially on the live streams. So if you still think that this is just about coins and tokens, you definitely aren't ready for what's coming next. We are on the edge of something gigantic. The largest launchpad of tokenized stocks and ETFs in history, it's going live. We're talking over 100 assets on day one and more than 1,000 by the end of the year. Let that sink in for a second. And this isn't a theory. This isn't a white paper. Folks, this is real world stocks. Apple, Tesla, Amazon, all wrapped into blockchain format and made tradable 24/7. It's Wall Street Unchained. Now you're probably thinking, but Rip, why does this matter? Because it marks the beginning of a financial convergence we've been talking about for years. Traditional markets finally moving onto blockchain rails. And you better believe it's not happening on Ethereum with gas fees and clogged networks. It's going to happen on a efficient, scalable, high throughput blockchain that's built for financial assets like the XRP ledger. And guess what? Tokenization, it's the end game. It's what BlackRock, Citi, and JP Morgan have been building towards. They've been telling us this for months. And now it's here. Once tokenized assets become the norm, everything changes. 24/7 trading becomes the standard. The middlemen, they vanish. Global access to US stocks, guess what? It becomes a click away. And for the crypto sitting at the intersection of regulations plus utility plus scalability, this is where the real value actually gets unlocked. XRP design wasn't just for payments. It was built for tokenized asset transfers. This is literally the use case that Ripple and XRP Ledger were born for. So while the rest of the market's still chasing memes, the real shift, guess what? It's already happening. And if you're paying attention, you are 99% ahead of the world right now. So what did we just witness? Well, it's simple. Let's break it all down. The banks are scared. The regulators are concerned. Ripple is bold, and tokenization is here. This isn't some maybe someday vision of crypto. It's happening right now. We've got public records showing banks trying to bury Ripple. We've got spot crypto listings forcing regulators into action. We've got Ripple playing high-level chess while the SEC scrambles. And we've got a historic tokenization rollout that's going to change everything. This is a once-in-a-generation inflection point. And if you're not watching it, you're a part of it. So if you're holding XRP, if you're building in this space, or just paying attention, you're not late. You're early. And you're exactly where the smart money is heading. I'm going to leave it like that. Hit that like button on your way out. That's the thumbs up. I'll catch everyone on the next one.